So sorry, I was put on mute without any intimation, so I kept speaking. So introducing Anubha today for this session. So this morning when I was speaking to Anubha about this session, I've been reading about her session and suddenly realized that we both did our first online lab together.
Oh.
I attended that lab and I had not bothered to connect her last name with Anubha. And when I did, it kind of just, revealed the person to me in entirety. And it was just exciting to know what she's been doing during this time, and especially working on her paper and her methodology to bring about wellness through these really unprecedented times. So here's Anubha, whose first love is really teaching. By profession, now a senior HR manager with a very renowned public sector firm. Trained herself to be a teacher and then to be a counselor and now also a mindfulness coach. And, as we say, when you're a teacher and a learner, life is the best teacher. So in her journey, she's actually taken life as her teacher. During COVID times, she looked around and saw how people were struggling, and that really inspired her to come up with a wellness model, which she has named. And also she's going to claim with all of you how she practices that in her life. So without wasting any more time, Anubha, I invite you to come on board and share with us and help us discover your journey through this process of wellness and calmness. We're all looking forward to it. And also to say we all, at least I certainly need it. I'm sure a lot of us need it as well. Thank you. Welcome aboard, Anubha.
Thank you so much, Renuka. Thank you. My screen is visible, I understand?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, we see.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am here to present my paper on the topic personal strategies to improve well-being. We have been taught the most important things in life are achieving success, being better than the rest, and aspiring to do what nobody has done before. We usually dream of a happy life full of personal and professional recognition and of great luxuries. We are so obsessed with getting what we want or what is expected of us that we forget to stop and smell the roses. In this pursuit, sometimes we overlook the value of our personal relationships, neglect our physical health, or forget to experience new things in life. In my view, if we want to be happy, we need to know to live with calm and act right. Verse 66, chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita says, Ashantasya kutaha sukham, which translates, how can there be happiness without calm? This verse clearly brings out that to live a happy life, calm is important. And the journey towards achieving calm in life begins and ends with all-dimensional well-being. In simple words, well-being, the state of being happy and healthy, leads us towards calm in life, which in turn leads to happiness. As per WHO also, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. This is consistent with the biopsychosocial model of health conceptualized by George Engel in 1977, which depicts the interactions of bio, psycho, and social factors in determining health outcomes. There are several theories of well-being, such as hedonism, eudaimonism, desire satisfaction theory, objectivist theory, subjective well-being theory, and PERMA. But they all define in terms of our actual psychological health, and they do neglect our physical health. Kaam ki baatein are my personal strategies of well-being. Over the years of my personal and professional experiences, I have developed this unique self-sustaining approach, which helps me maintain calm in any chaotic situation. By understanding the importance and embracing what the 4 letters of calm represent, I am better equipped to navigate the complexities of life successfully. The 2 most essential things to understand Kaam Ki Baatein are self-love, means loving and caring for all the aspects of self, and self-responsibility, taking responsibility for our physical health and managing our thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. Kaam Ki Baatein is an effort to let people know that with this holistic approach for social, physical, mental, and spiritual well-being, we all can see calm in life. Through this paper, I wish to share my findings that well-being is the active pursuit of our actions, our choices, and our lifestyle that leads to a state of complete health. This state extends beyond physical health and incorporates additional dimensions. Collectively, these dimensions are social, means connecting with, interacting with, and contributing to other people. Physical, having a healthy body and doing physical activities. Mental, engagement with the world through continuous learning. Spiritual, searching for meaning and purpose in human existence. Interestingly, the word calm itself talks about 4 key dimensions to improve our well-being and live a calm life. Each letter of the word calm is important and signifies one of the 4 dimensions of well-being. C reminds us to connect with others and make life meaningful. Connections are important for our social well-being. A inspires to be active and physically healthy while decreasing the risk of diseases. Activity is important for our physical well-being. L motivates to keep on learning and grow in life. Learning is important for our mental well-being. M guides to be mindful and live in the present moment. Mindfulness is important for our spiritual well-being. Scientific research and thousands of years of human experience back the importance of these 4 dimensions. Let us explore these dimensions in detail. C. The first letter of calm stands for connect. It is the first dimension to improve my personal well-being by maintaining healthy relationships, enjoying being with others, caring for others, and developing friendships and intimate relationships. By connecting with others, I have been able to make my life much more meaningful. For me, to connect means to be close to others and share their happiness, grief, concerns, hopes, ups and downs of life. It is also the experience of feeling loved, cared for, and valued. Good connections with my family and friends have given me an opportunity to share my experiences and have provided me emotional support as and when required. For me, to connect with others is like an energy exchange that has the power to deepen the moment and build trust with each other. Let us see some research. Research has shown that social connections not only impact our mental health, but our physical health as well. A review of 148 studies indicated that the individuals with stronger social relationships had 50% increased likelihood of survival. A study by Nicholas Epley and Juliana, published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology in 2014, showed that participants reported a more positive experience when connecting with a stranger. Emma Sepla, author of the book The Happiness Track, wrote, people who feel more connected to others have lower levels of anxiety and depression. Brené Brown, a professor at the University of Houston Graduate College of Social Work, said in an interview, a deep sense of love and belonging is an irresistible need of all people. We are wired to love, to be loved, and to belong. We may think that we want money, power, fame, beauty, eternal youth, a new car. But at the root of the most of these desires, there is a need to belong, to be accepted, to connect with others, and to be loved. According to Matthew Lieberman, a professor at UCLA, the importance of social connection is so strong that when we are rejected or experience other social pain, our brains hurt in the same way as they do when we feel physical pain. Dr. Chris Peterson, a professor of psychology at the University of Michigan, summed up his research on positive psychology in just 3 words: other people matter. Having other people in our lives matters to our quality of social well-being at every stage of life. We all are social animals. We do need to connect with others in order to address some of our physical, psychological, and social needs. We all need to experience a deep connection between two people, like two friends, loving partners, or family members, where both feel loved, listened to, and understood, and each individual is able to be entirely fully present in the moment when spending time with the other person. We also need a feeling of belonging to a social group, like group of close friends, a tight-knit group of colleagues, or a religious circle, which provide us support and guidance whenever required. Feeling socially connected is very important for our survival. In today's increasingly isolated world, it is crucial to form healthy relationships and establish deeper connections with those around us. Developing close relationships and socializing with friends, family, and others is very important for our health and social well-being. I have been able to connect with others by simply listening to them. By paying attention to what others are saying and understanding them creates a strong need. One other way is to find some micro moments of connections by attending to people through non-violent communication. I just make some regular connections with them via text or phone call. I try to have my dinners with my family members or lunches with my colleagues in office. I share my experiences, tell stories, spend quality time and fun time with near and dear ones. I try to make some social connections by making a smile or eye contact or simply say hello, hi. These are very simple tips to make social connections. We can create meaningful connections by simply two things. One is by appreciating the similarities, and other is respecting the differences. Instead of tolerating the differences, I develop an interest and curiosity towards the traits that are different from my own traits. Volunteering is also for a cause like teaching underprivileged children has also been a way to connect with others and boost my happiness. With Connect, I have been able to maintain my social well-being, and for me, to connect, a simple mantra is listen more and judge less. A, the second letter of calm, stands for activity. It is the second dimension to improve my personal well-being by caring for my body to stay healthy now and in the future. By being active, I am able to make my body much healthier. Activity encompasses all the movements which burn calories. It can be quite light movement like just slow walking or shuffling around a little bit in my office or at home. It can be a moderate activity like brisk walking, jogging, or light swimming, stair climbing, or can be a vigorous activity like fast running, fast cycling. To be active is to indulge in any kind of physical activity on a regular basis. A study published in Cell Metabolism in March 2017 found that people in age group of 65 to 80 years who did walking, they reversed age-related weakening of muscle cells and improved their muscle power. A study published in BMC Geriatrics on May 6, 2020 suggests that even just a little activity, both at home and work, may reduce risk of hospitalization. One more study found that doing light physical activity like preparing a meal or walking through a park may lower the risk of cardiovascular diseases among women in their late 60s. One more study published in August 2018 in the Journal of the American Heart Association suggests that even light physical activity combined with less sitting is associated with signs of better heart and blood vessel health among older adults. A study in April 2017 on issue of hypertension suggests the more physically active you are, the lower your risk of high blood pressure. Being physically active is critical for health and well-being. It can help to add years to life and life to years, says WHO Director General Lee Tedros. Every movement counts, especially now as we manage the constraints of the COVID-19 pandemic. We must all move every day safely. Any movement of the body is good for our health. Our bodies are built to move. We all need to keep our body active. Being active is important for good health. Scientifically, it has been proved that fitting more and more activities in one's daily schedule not only improves health, but also enhances the quality of life. Physical activity affects our mood positively. It helps prevent and reduce depression, anxiety, and stress. It also helps achieve and maintain a healthy weight and blood pressure. It makes our heart, lungs, bones, and muscles strong and reduces all types of cardiovascular diseases. By being active, we are able to maintain our physical well-being. For me, walking is one of the most straightforward activity. I try to walk around throughout the day as much as possible. Whenever I receive any phone call, I usually get up and start walking while talking to the person. Regular stretching is also effective for body movements. Push-ups have been the symbol of optimal fitness and they can be done anytime by anyone. We can do strength training that works on all major muscle groups: jogging, running, cycling, swimming, gardening, gym, yoga. All sports are good as long as we keep on moving. We can mix and match all physical activities to suit our health, abilities, personal preferences, and daily schedules. Adults need at least 150 minutes of moderate exercises like brisk walking or 75 minutes of rigorous exercise like running, or it can be a mix of both. The take-home message is stay as active as you can. Even a little activity protects our health. For me, mantra to activity is move more and sit less. L, the third letter of calm, stands for learning. It is the third dimension to improve personal well-being by growing intellectually, maintaining curiosity, valuing lifelong learning, and expanding knowledge and skills. With continuous learning, I am able to make my life much more rich. To learn is to gain new knowledge, new skills, and new experiences. It is also about challenging ourselves to do something different or improve upon what we have done before. Human learning starts at birth and continues until death because of ongoing interactions between people and their environment. Learning is more than just formal education. It is about embracing new understandings in all areas of life. It is important for people of all ages and life stages to keep learning for happiness, health, and their mental well-being. A research survey in 2015 found that 73% of adults consider themselves lifelong learners and 74% of adults participate in activities to advance their knowledge about something that personally interests them. Tom Hood expressed a neat equation for dealing with change in a world of rapid change and increasing complexity. The winners will be those who can keep their rate of learning greater than the rate of change. Deloitte's Global Human Capital Trends 2016 report emphasized the importance of developing learning approaches that enable people to develop themselves every day. To keep up with the speed of business and innovation, today's workforce environment demands a culture of continuous learning, says Ryan D. Burgess, Director of Workforce Transformation. Ellen Tucklet makes the point that learning throughout life makes sense. Research shows it is good for health, our wealth, our civic engagement, and our family's future prospects. Our study shows that there are several ways to improve the health of brain, and learning something new is one of them. When we learn something new, we exercise our brain, which can help improve cognitive functions such as concentration, attention to detail, memory recall, and problem solving, and also reduce the chance of developing dementia. Learning is essential to our existence. Just as food nourishes our body, information and continued learning nourishes our minds. We have a deep need to learn, to make sense of new things in the world around us, to discover how things work. Broadening our minds helps us gain insight into our life and the world around us. If we are engaged in learning, we feel better about ourselves. Learning helps us view the world from a range of perspectives, makes it easier to adapt to new situations, and inspires creativity within us. Learning throughout life can help us enjoy life more and improve our knowledge and thinking skills. By learning new things, we know more and grow more. There are many different ways to bring learning into our life. Other than reading a book, learning from lectures, media, webinars, or online courses, I try to learn by having a conversation with new people, by traveling, and by acquiring my own personal experiences. I learn by teaching to the underprivileged students, by helping them and by helping them in doing their homework, and by knowing something new from them every day. I also learn by trying something new, taking a different responsibility, and by exploring anything of interest. At workplace, I keep on learning by taking a new role, new assignment, or new job. I seek out opportunities for my professional development, like participating in labs in ICEPs. Today, internet is making it easier for us to keep on learning in new and interesting ways. Learning can be fun. For me, mantra for learning is ask more, assume less. M, the fourth letter of calm, stands for mindfulness. It is the fourth dimension to improve my personal well-being by finding purpose, value, and meaning in my life. By being mindful, I have been able to make my life much more enlightening. To me, mindfulness is to live my life with a balanced harmony, inside and outside. Being mindful is just focus the attention on the present moment, accept it without any judgment. It is being aware of my own thoughts, my body sensations and feelings, and also being aware of what is happening outside. With mindfulness, I am able to maintain my spiritual well-being. Some studies about mindfulness, according to a meta-analysis of 47 studies, stress-related health problems like anxiety and depression might be treatable with meditation. According to a study by Richard A. Davison and John Kabat-Zinn published in Psychosomatic Medicine, meditators who went through a 8-week mindfulness training program had significantly more flu antibodies than their non-meditating peers after they received a flu vaccine. A study published in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that seasoned practitioners may experience less mind wandering and a resting state closer to a meditative one. Research suggests that meditation can increase respiratory sinus arrhythmia, the natural variations in heart rate that happen when we breathe that indicate better heart health. Focusing on the timing and pace of our breath may help direct attention and boost our mood, says a new study in the Journal of Neurophysiology. A review of 23 studies examining the benefits of mindfulness-based program at the workplace found that employees felt less stressed, anxiety, and psychological distress and experienced greater overall well-being. People report being happiest while their mind is not wandering from what they are doing. When our mind is wandering, we are not paying attention to what we are doing. And usually we make some more mistakes, we get less efficient, and we enjoy it less. Secondly, when we are not paying attention, we might be wishing to experience happiness resulting only from the imagination. But this only gives us a superficial experience of the life we are actually leading and never leads to a stable and deeply satisfying level of well-being. By focusing on the present moment and being in here and now, we reduce thoughts and maintain a level of calmness. Simply remaining grounded in the present moment and focusing on the breath may allow the body to recover from acute and chronic stress. I try to be mindful by bringing my attention to whatever is happening in the present moment. I usually observe my breath, sometimes mostly 1 or 2, or whenever I get time, I increase my observation of the breath. I feel my body sensations and notice each part of the body. I observe my thoughts from a distance, do some internal analysis, and try to focus on positive thoughts. I get familiar with and try to understand my feelings very frequently. I do notice all my senses, sights, sounds, smells, and touches. And I also try to use my senses to notice the presence of other person. By observing more and without getting lost in thoughts, I try to be more mindful. To notice small, beautiful things in life is really enjoyable. This could be a flower outside or laying down and looking at the clouds. There is something pleasing about being fully present. Creating this space helps me restore my spiritual well-being. My mantra for mindfulness is observe more and worry less. Kaam ki baatein. Having strong social relationships, being physically active, being involved in learning, and being mindful are harbingers of happiness, calm, and well-being. Each action makes a positive difference in our life. These actions can also be undertaken altogether. We may connect with others while doing an exercise, or we may be active while learning something new in a fitness class. We may keep on learning while connecting with others. We may be mindful by noticing how we are progressing in our new skill, or how we are walking, or taking notice of how the people we connect with are doing. All people might be involved in all these specific actions, under the overarching themes of connecting, being active, learning, and mindfulness. But the core intention of this paper is to persuade people to embrace all these 4 dimensions in their life without neglecting any one of them, and then we can enhance our overall well-being and quality of life. I conclude with the words of Dalai Lama that happiness is not something ready-made, it comes from our own actions. Thank you so much for giving me time.
Thank you, Anubha. Thank you so much for taking us through all the Kaam Ki Baatein, and so appealing to hear about your simplicity and how you go about doing these things in your life. And I was wondering if anybody from the audience has any questions, are you curious about any of the things that Anubha has talked about? We have another 15 minutes or so, and the floor is open for questions. So Srinivasan has raised his hands. Could we please unmute him?
Yeah. Hello, madam. Thank you very much for the session. It was very good, madam, and I learned a lot of good things. And this simple, that CALM, that CALM, that acronym, you have given these headings. In that connect, I have learned a very good thing. And regarding the mindfulness, I feel that is very difficult. The mind is either in the future or it is distracted, and it is so. Those suggestions that you have made, I'm not able to really connect with that, or able to accept whether it is really possible to get that mindfulness. If you can really give us some examples or some templates or tools, it will be useful, ma'am. Thank you.
Actually, for me, mindfulness is the, I think, simplest thing. For me, connection may be difficult, but mindfulness is very simple thing, because it is not sitting for a longer period, into the meditation. It is my relationship with my own breath for a second. How much time, it takes for me for a breath. Simply sometimes I sit for a minute with the alarm and just observe my breath. In 1 minute, how many breaths you can take. And this is such a wonderful thing. Sometimes when, you are stressed, you can count your own breath in a minute. It will be somewhere in a number 10 or 12. But when you are relaxed, you are calm, it can be somewhere 4 in a minute. You just put some alarm for 1 minute and try to observe your breath. And during 24 hours, we can see few minutes in our life where we are connecting as a human being. We are connecting only with my breath. Nothing is there, because breath is my life. So we don't pay attention to breath, and then we are taking all theories and we get scared of this meditation. I have to sit for half an hour. Mindfulness is not sitting half an hour for meditation. In today's hectic life, we cannot do that. But for a minute, and I'm not saying even for a minute, maybe a fraction of minute, just connect with yourself inside with your own breath. I hope I'm able
yes,
to.
madam. This is a very good activity that you have suggested. I understand, madam, and I would like to go through my notes. It is a very good session. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Anyone else here who has, okay, there's Sonal who's raising her hand.
Hello, Anubha. It was very, very good session. It was very simple, and maybe a lot of principles. You made it in a very simple way to us to connect. The way you connected, we also felt connected during your session. There are some of things which I just liked it, and I connected with you. The first thing you shared, that how we want to do all the time, like we want to prove ourselves, we want to do. So I just want to ask you that before going into the journey, or I can say that before realizing that you need to go to some journey, or maybe you realized or not, and it came naturally to you. So the first slide you shared, so I would like to understand bit more that where you were where in those slides. So that was the questions I have for you.
Okay, actually, I started my career with a teacher, right? And as a teacher, we have different set of values. And once you come into the corporate world, we are, there is a different sets of things to do. So I'm just comparing, where am I? Then I try to find out what do I want from my life. So it is really difficult to, when you see that you are with those type of people that all are running a rat race, right? But then some values, maybe my profession of a teacher is always guiding me towards values. The first important thing is that what do we want as a person? So maybe I'm not maybe able to give you a very convincing answer for this, what you have asked, but it has come to me that I always, do some self-analysis. What is more important to me? Sonal, am I able to give you some proper answer?
Yes, Anubha, I am understanding what you are trying to say. So thank you, Anubha. Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Okay, so we have two participants here who want to ask something, Vara and Simran. Vara, you want to go first? Yeah.
Yeah. Anubha, it was very interesting to see that such a simple thing called calm can really, bring you to level ground and make you look at life from a different perspective. So it's very interesting. I would like to know, what would you like to say if, for example, in the current situation where the pandemic has really been harsh on people and families, and when we go through grief, all of us, I mean, I can talk for myself, I have gone through grief, lost my own sister. Now, when grief strikes you, I mean, nothing seems working out well for you. So how would you suggest that a person, apply in the four things that you said? Because you don't want to talk to people, you're not ready for learning, you're not able to be mindful of what you're doing, whatever you say, you don't feel like connecting. So you're not interested in activities. How can one handle this?
Vara, here I would like to tell you that mindfulness is the only way to handle the grief.
Yeah.
Because what I said, mindfulness, we have to go very deep into it. I said that when I go for a breath, I just connect with myself, and with my grief, again, I say whether I am in position to handle my grief, or whether I can give the support to that person who may be having, whose grief may be more than me. Because when in a family, when a person goes, there are different people, right? And they all have different, I can say, intensity of pain, right?
Mhm.
So if I can support those people who are pain, grief, we all have to handle in our own way, right? Because it is a very, very severe type of pain. But then realizing that that pain is within me, and then connecting with my breath, what I'm doing with this pain, I have to handle it. Person has gone, not coming back. But then, should I cry in a room and become, supportless? Or can I become a support to the person? for example, I would like to share one example. I lost my brother who was 38-year-old, and I was seeing his wife who is 34, right? This person is dying. He is on ventilator. And then I have my parents who may be 80s, right? So here in this situation, I know that this boy will never come back in our life, right? Very young age, 38. But I see three more people. I see the young wife. I see the mother who has given the birth. I see the very old father. So if I am not in a position to handle my own grief, because for me also, closest, my brother, my grief is also there, but then I have to be aware what I am doing. So one thing is I can cry and I can, cry with the family in the group. One thing is that I am aware of my grief. I know the reality. I cannot bring him back. So I have to be a support for these three people. So my bhabi, my mother, my father. So this is simply awareness, only awareness. Grief has already happened. Now, how I am going to handle it and how I am proceeding further. That is our trick. So I believe that mindfulness is very helpful in that, with my own experience.
Yeah, thank you. I have been trying to do that, but I guess I'll get a little more deeper into it. Thank you, Anubha. Thank you.
Yeah, Simran, would you like to go next?
Mute. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Am I
Yes,
audible?
Simran.
Sorry, am I audible?
Yes, Simran, you are audible.
Hi, sorry, am I audible? I had to switch off my video. I think my net is really unstable. So, Anubha ma'am, thank you so much. That was, I enjoyed, I think I sat still all through your presentation. It was really interesting. Thank you so much. I have a question now. I think what intrigued me was the slide where you showed observe more and worry less. Now, as an empath, many a times, we are observing and you're absorbing, but sometimes it gets difficult to let go of what you've absorbed, because sometimes, it stays with you. You carry, if someone is confiding in you, you sometimes carry it. So I just want to know, is there some trick or some exercise that you do? Because we do grounding techniques, but sometimes you need, something more than that. So is there something that you suggest where, it could not be a session really, but sometimes you're just listening to somebody and you feel so drained after the conversation. So do you have something to share based on that?
Simran, actually, whenever I get some negative emotion, I just connect with my breath only. And then I say to myself only that my breath is most important thing in life. And then, okay, I know this is worry and this is anxiety, and I have to keep them aside and I have to seek some alternative. So, but all the emotions, are part of our life. They will come. But only thing, they should not stay with us for a longer period. Okay. Some anxiety will come, worry will come, stress will come, all part of our life. Like Buddha has said, life is, suffering only. So all will come. Trick is that how long you want to be with your worries or your anxieties and how to disconnect with that. So that source is only breath. So only one breath you try, then come to 2, then come to 4 and 5. I don't say that you sit for a longer time because it is very difficult, but you connect with yourself and breath is always available with you. For example, I'm telling you, my boss has fired me for anything. Okay. Irritation will come, anger will come and all will go for a moment. Okay, what is important? His firing or maybe my breath? come to my breath, just stop for a second. Then only we, respond, we don't react. Certain things I don't have like much to say about that, but only one trick you can think, whenever any negative emotion is coming, try to connect yourself with only one breath. And usually you do that, try to do it, in 24 hours, whenever you are traveling, wherever you are, with anyone you are. One thing, I don't know, I'm able to answer you properly, but I do that only. Just come back to my own breath.
That sure helps. Thank you so much. And thank you for the session. I loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, Kirod, you've been waiting for a while.
Okay, so I like the presentation. It brings a different perspective, and never thought of it in that 4 different pillars which go into our mental well-being, or own both physical, mental well-being. You were answering a question to another person, and you said you can have different values in personal life and in corporate life, which I thought, if I were to have different values, I will really go crazy. I can't have different values in one place and have other values at another place. So I thought I will want a clarification on that.
Yes, I didn't say personal values. I said professional only, as a teacher and as a corporate person. Definitely in any organization, we are entering with our own values, right? But as a teacher, there are certain qualities we may say, and in a corporate, actually, what is the difference? What I wanted to tell in that particular time, when we are a teacher, we are thinking that all are our juniors and we are showing them our values. But in a corporate life, we all are adults. There are no students, no children. But personal and professional, I didn't say, because in any profession, any human being is entering with their personal values, set of values. We cannot deny that. There was a difference between a corporate life and in a teacher's life. That much I wanted to say.
Well, I don't know. I'm still in 2 minds about this. Even a teacher is a human being, and having 2 different sets of values doesn't gel with me. So I'll stay with that. I know there is a time limit, so I'll just stay with that.
I'm just giving you one example. For a teacher, it may be, we will say ki telling a lie is not good. So that is a value. Ki you have to always say truth only. You have to always speak true, right? But in corporate life, sometimes things may be like that. Ki I'm not saying that you do some corruption or don't tell lie, but you can hide that lie. Not necessary to tell that. You can avoid it. So that much difference, definitely there is a difference between a teaching profession and in a corporate life. But personal values, so definitely person will carry, whether he or she is entering in a teaching profession or in a corporate life.
Yeah, what you're saying is different. The value is not changing. The value is still the same. It is my action which I decide to be different.
Correct.
So it's a
Agree.
different thing that you're saying.
Yes,
Okay,
agree.
I'm fine by that.
Yeah. Thank you for that clarification. I started with this value. This is action.
True.
There is a person So he wants the slides to be shared, like how to be mindful.
How to be mindful is like it can be means practice. Actually, practice is required for that. We can start with a very simple thing, just focusing on one breath, only one breath, and you increase the time. Then you will learn slowly, because mindfulness and meditation is, very long journey. So it is different for all individuals, but anybody can start with a simple one step, one breath at a time.
I like that thought, Anubha, one breath at a time, because as you said, the journey is different for everybody. And I can feel a lot of different things really bubble up for everybody. Everyone who brought in their personal stories and their personal struggles through this time. Maybe the answers will come in their own time, and maybe the relief will come in its own time. But your session has left me with a sentence which is actually in Hindi, and I'm going to translate for everyone who doesn't speak Hindi. The saying goes that जीवन में सिर्फ दो चीजों की जरूरत है, श्वास और विश्वास. In life, one needs only two things. You need your breath and you need hope. In Hindi, they rhyme Shwas and Vishwas, so it just seems more interesting, but that's all it means. And that's what I'm left with, that there is a richness to life as long as I can connect in my own self. And maybe that will lead me and help me, work through all my resistance, all my difficulties, and all my struggles. My breath is the most important connection to my life, and the life source inside me and life source in everybody else. So thank you so much for, I hope we will all remember Kaam Ki Baatein. And Anubha, it was lovely having you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone who's here.
Thank you.
Made the session so wonderful and interactive with all the questions, and they're bringing in their personal selves. Thank you. Yeah, Anubha, you can.
Thank you. Bye-bye.